Today we're going to take a close look at my beautiful Oncostele Hilo Firecracker, and the variety that I have is New Year, which is this beautiful red variety. There is a yellowy orange one available also, and that one is called Lucky Strike. So Oncostele is an orchid which is a hybrid of Oncidium orchid and Rincostele, and it's got a lot of Oncidium traits that I'm most familiar with, such as the pseudobulbs from which the leaves grow and from which the flower spikes grow. So my Oncostele is in pretty close to full bloom on this spike. There's a couple of buds up here that haven't opened yet, but everything else is pretty open up now, so we can take a good look at the flowers. I've got a couple of other spikes coming on this one, but it looks like they're not going to be nearly as long as this one, and that's okay, because it's been putting all of its energy into this one. So this spike, for instance, has already started to bud out, but as you can see, it's about a third of the height of the original one. So each of these blooms has a pretty typical shape. Again, it's pretty close to what I would think for an Oncidium. Particularly a notable quality is this item here, which is the lip callus, which is a little selection of bumpies, little bumps, and that is where the Oncidium genus gets its name from, with the same root word as oncology. So particularly lovely to me is this beautiful creamy lip on the flower, and I think that just really stands out. The flower has all of the parts that you'd expect for an orchid. It's got these three sepals, which were parts of the bud, and then it's got these three petals. 1, 2, 3. And the big petal is called the labellum, or the lip. Now, some people actually classify all of these as tepals, sort of hybrid between a petal and a sepal, and some people classify them separately. But the point is, they all look like petals, so it looks like you've got this beautiful 5-petaled flower. It's very interesting the way that botanic systems work. And you'll see this because a lot of things that we think of when we think, oh, that's a beautiful flower, it might be something which is not actually a set of petals, but it might be a set of tepals with an inflorescence in the middle. For instance, if you think about dogwood flowers, the thing we think of as an individual flower actually has a bundle of tiny flowers in the middle, and I think that's actually pretty neat. So other things that we'll notice about this is that there is a very distinct column. So the column on the Oncidium, or Oncostele here, contains the parts of the orchid which are the reproductive parts. And it's got an anther cap, and underneath that there's a couple of little bits of pollen producing. They look like you'd think of a stamen. And then the stigma, which is the part that receives the pollen usually. But it's all tucked away neatly inside that column there. So I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to see about these, but I think that this is just such a lovely, striking plant, and just a profusion. So some orchids flower with just one flower in the spike, and some with a mass. And this is one of the ones where you get that beautiful mass of flowers, and I think that's just really been beautiful to see this summer. And even though these are shorter, I can't wait for these spikes to come out too, and then we'll see what that looks like.